Hey everyone, I'm Jaden,
And I'm Noah.
and we are the Super Gamer Bros, and this is the Super Gamer Bros podcast. We're just a couple of brothers who love playing games and love talking about games, so that's what we do. And today, Noah, we are talking about Mortal Kombat X.
That's right. It's been a long time coming. Years.
Uh,
What year did it come out?
oh boy, that's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to.
Okay, yeah. So anyway,
I
um,
think it came out, if I were to guess, it was probably what, like 20, maybe 2014, 2015. That's what I'm guessing.
but this, we played Mortal Kombat games our whole lives, and I waited a long time for Jaden to actually play this one that came out in 2015, and he never did. So I decided that I was gonna have to force him to play it myself. And what better opportunity to do that than to do it for our YouTube channel slash this podcast, right? So here we are, after having actually played through this game together. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, what he said isn't true. I was pretty lazy. Never played through it myself. Yeah, never played through it myself. Really, I can't even tell you why. I mean, I love Mortal Kombat. When the game came out, we did actually play it like we typically did whenever we'd get a new fighting game. We started it, we played a few matches just fighting each other, testing out some of the new characters. And then that's it. I never played it again. I guess partially why, for anyone who wants to potentially judge me for this, is that with my obsession for getting trophies, Mortal Kombat X is a game that I know never in a million years would I be able to actually get the platinum trophy, because every NetherRealm game requires playing online and being decent at online to get the trophies, and I'm like, I'll never get there. And yeah, that's why I never played it, despite Noah begging me over years and years to do it. And finally he got me to. He got me to by making it one of the first games we played through on our YouTube channel, just because he wanted me to finally know the story.
I wish you could hear how asinine it sounds to hear somebody say that they bought a game but wouldn't play it because they were unable to get the platinum trophy. Interesting thought process there. I just wanted you to play the story and understand what happened in this game because this game was the first time since the 3D era that the Mortal Kombat story was actually pushed forward.
It certainly, I mean, as you said, it felt like, to me, other than I guess nine being, a complete reboot of the series, an incredible jump forward with, the time skip, because it's the first game to really completely have I guess not, if you, because Deception and Armageddon, I just think of kind of separate from the main story of Mortal Kombat,
Yeah,
but just felt like it was so different with its story, especially of skipping 20 years in the future, having, the combat kids, as you like to talk about them, like Cassie Cage, Takeda, uh, Jackie Briggs, and
Takeda.
all of them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, but like having, the kids of these characters and having the story pushed so far forward, especially considering how deadly Mortal Kombat 9 was for, a lot of the good guys. Liu Kang died, Katana died, Jax died, Nightwolf died. They all died.
But they do a good job of keeping all that canon as well and writing that into
They
the
do. They do.
characters.
They do. I was very impressed by how it works, and I do find that a lot of the main characters are some of the best Mortal Kombat characters, in my opinion, in terms of like their writing, their character, their story. Anyway, we're Mortal Kombat nerds. That's been, I think, well established. We will go ahead and move on here to the setting, unless you had something else you wanted to say, Noah.
I can't wait for Mortal Kombat 12.
Well said. All right. So the setting, pretty simple. Mortal Kombat X takes place throughout the Mortal Kombat multiverse. This game itself primarily takes place on Earthrealm and Outworld. Those are, I mean, almost with the exception of flashbacks, those are the only two realms that you fight in this story. And some, flashback scenarios, basically just one chapter itself. You do actually fight in the Netherrealm against Quan Chi. But yeah, you mainly fight in just those two realms. Noah, you like the Mortal Kombat worlds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought you'd comment or something. You're just kind of quiet.
I don't know what kind of comment you're looking for there. I didn't know
How,
that
how do
you
you feel?
spent two
How do,
worlds.
yeah, do you like Outworld and Earthrealm?
Yeah, they're fine. I mean, I don't really notice in the terms of the story mode. If there's not really a conquest, you don't really notice where they're going. For me, it comes down to the stages because they have like 15, 20 stages in a Mortal Kombat game. And those are the stages that have to be used in the story mode, or else, they have to make other stages. So I like, of course, I like the older games where, like in Deception, where you could go to literally every realm and explore, but that's a lot to ask, and we don't need that in every Mortal Kombat game. I just asked for a good story visiting more than one realm, and that's what this was.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a lot, yeah, obviously a lot more noticeable which realms you're exploring, which realms are available in a game like Deception, where are actually running around these realms. And it's kind of like you said, it's mainly just actually, I guess, where the stages are themselves is kind of where the game is set around. But I do think that, Mortal Kombat X, it's something that I feel like maybe both a good and a bad, is because I commented on it, I think, while we were playing through the game. If you go watch, the Let's Play on our YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros, wink, wink, wink. Most of your chapters, all four fights in each chapter take place in the same stage most of the time. And I thought, like, I didn't like that because I would have liked to see more stages, but the game does a good job of integrating these stages into the story in a way that isn't obvious. Oh, why are these people in this incredibly random place? Oh, I guess this is a stage. That's why. They do a good job of kind of working with the limited number of stages they have and still making the story like
Absolutely.
the story doesn't suffer by the limit of the stage. And I absolutely respect that they did that and didn't have people just kind of going to random places just for the sake of getting more stages in the story. Like, I do prefer less stages with more logic than, I guess, more stages with less logic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So yeah, that's the setting. Pretty simple one. Now we're going to move on here. We're going to talk about the story. So, 2 years after the defeat of Outworld's ruler, Shao Kahn, Shinnok attacks Earthrealm with his army of Netherrealm demons, as well as Earthrealm warriors who were killed during Khan's invasion and are now resurrected as revenants under Quan Chi's control. So, yeah, basically most of the characters who died in the last game are now evil, technically, sort of.
That is
After
something I do love about Mortal Kombat is it's one of those universes where death is not really the end.
Yeah, it is pretty rare for a character in Mortal Kombat to die and stay dead. Anyway, after fighting their fallen comrades, a strike team led by Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, and Kenshi, open a portal to Raiden's Sky Temple and head to the Jinsei Chamber, the source of Earthrealm's life force, where Raiden and Fujin are seen battling Shinnok and his Netherrealm forces. When Shinnok tries to kill Sonya, Johnny rushes to defend her, inadvertently awakening ancient superhuman powers within himself. Using his newfound powers, Johnny holds Shinnok at bay long enough for Raiden to steal Shinnok's amulet and imprison him inside it. But Quan Chi escapes. Johnny, Raiden, and Sonya track him to his lair in the Netherrealm and defeat him, successfully restoring Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Jax to human form in the process after Quan Chi's failed attempt to turn Cage into a revenant, though Quan Chi does escape again. In the years that follow, Johnny and Sonya marry and have a daughter, Cassie, though they later divorce. Scorpion, now using his original name Hanzo Hasashi, rebuilds his Shirai Ryu clan while mentoring Kenshi's son Takeda. Did I do it right? All right.
Yeah, that was good.
Cool. And Sub-Zero becomes the new Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei after killing Sector. Sub-Zero uses the data from Sector's memory breaks, detailing Quan Chi's various manipulations of the Lin Kuei, including the truth about the death of Hasashi's wife and son, to help end his feud with Hasashi. 20 years after Shinnok's defeat, Johnny assembles a new team of young fighters composed of Cassie, Takeda, Jax's daughter Jackie, and Kung Lao's younger cousin, later retconned as his nephew, Kung Jin.
Oh yeah, I don't like Kung Jin. He's the only one I could let go of out of the
Oh,
combat kids.
I thought you
Uh,
did like him.
well, I like him as you get confused when because I say multiple times like I like characters as characters or I like them as playable characters. Like I like how they fight or their style or what they bring. Kung Jin brings something that has not been in Mortal Kombat, which is a bow.
Yes.
In all the years of Mortal Kombat, there has
Anyway,
not
yep.
been another character with a bow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So, after undergoing a training exercise with Sub-Zero, they're deployed to Outworld to resolve a civil war between former Empress Melina, who has obtained Shinnok's amulet from Kano, and Outworld's current Emperor Kotal Khan, with whom Earthrealm has a fragile peace treaty. Meanwhile, in an Outworld refugee camp in Earthrealm, Sonya captures Kano and forces him to reveal Melina's location. Using this information, Cassie's team aids Kotal in recovering Shinnok's amulet and capturing Melina, who is subsequently executed on Kotal's orders. No longer believing Earthrealm capable of keeping the amulet safe, Kotal decides to keep it in Outworld's hands and takes Cassie and her friends hostage as leverage against Raiden. Kotal's insectoid second-in-command, Devora, who had killed Baraka when Kotal started his rule, is revealed as a double agent for Quan Chi and steals the amulet. Cassie and her team escape captivity and inform Earthrealm of Devora's intentions. Hoping to stop Quan Chi from getting the amulet, Jax and Kenshi, aided by a Netherrealm local named Serena, lead an assault on the Netherrealm. After fighting his way through the revenants of his former allies, Jax captures a weakened Quan Chi, who is brought to Earthrealm and held at an Outworld refugee camp. Hasashi infiltrates the refugee camp alongside his clan with the intent of assassinating Quan Chi as revenge for ruining his life, defeating Kenshi, Johnny, and Sonya in the process. As Hasashi prepares to kill Quan Chi, Devora arrives with the amulet. Quan Chi manages to finish his spell moments before being beheaded by Hasashi, releasing Shinnok from captivity. Weakened by the Shirai Ryu's previous attack, Johnny is taken hostage by Shinnok and Devora. With the aid of Quan Chi's revenants, Shinnok and Devora assault the Sky Temple and subdue Raiden and Bo-Rai Cho in the process. Shinnok then enters the Jinsei and corrupts it, transforming himself into a powerful demon in the process. Cassie's team pursues Shinnok, only to be intercepted by Kotal Khan and his army. They inform him of Shinnok's return, and Kotal decides to kill them, hoping to appease Shinnok and buy time to bolster Outworld's defenses. But Sub-Zero and his Lin Kuei warriors appear just in time to repel the Outworld forces. At the Sky Temple, Jackie and Takeda occupy the Revenants, while Cassie and Jin enter the Jinsei chamber. When Devora begins torturing Johnny, Cassie manifests powers similar to her father's, which she uses to defeat Shinnok. A grievously wounded Raiden then purifies the Jinsei, stripping Shinnok of his powers and forcing the Revenants to withdraw. Sonya and her soldiers arrive to take Shinnok and Devora away, and the Cage family reunites. Sometime later, Raiden, now in possession of Shinnok's amulet and corrupted in the process of purifying the Jinsei, issues a warning to the Revenants Liu Kang and Kitana, now rulers of the Netherrealm, that they will face fates worse than death if they threaten Earthrealm. Raiden leaves behind Shinnok's severed but still living head as a final warning before departing.
Woo!
All right, that's the story.
Great story.
Yeah, comments. I'm gonna go ahead and say our comments. Number one, really cool to see Sub-Zero and Scorpion bury the hatchet. I think first time in Mortal Kombat history that they don't despise each other.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And as I said, when we play through the game, Noah, I do think it's honestly the story was kind of disappointing. It was not what I expected. I feel like it's kind of a bit of a letdown, I guess, for me after waiting so long. That Mortal Kombat 9 ends with that tease that Shinnok was actually behind everything, and I knew the game skipped 20 years, so I had the idea that in that 20 years, Shinnok had been preparing this whole time, and when the game started, he would kind of unleash his
You're
attack.
basing your expectations off of something you made up in your head. But I do agree with you that the Shinnok stuff was highly downplayed. I mean, all in all, he ended up not really being in the game that much, and he was not a threat. You know, you only fought him once.
Twice.
Was it twice?
You fight him
Oh,
as
the
Johnny, and then his
beginning and the end. Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. You only fight him once
yeah,
in the
yeah.
like
I mean, it was
actual
just a
Mortal
letdown
Kombat story.
because again, like Mortal Kombat 9 sets up like he's gonna have this big conquest, and then X starts with that conquest, I guess, and then he's captured, and then skips 20 years, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like when the first chapter ends and Johnny beats him and he's captured, whatever, in
Yeah,
his
it
amulet.
was very
I just remember thinking,
controversial.
I was like, I guess that's it. And then he doesn't show up again until I think the second to last chapter, or might even be like straight up the last chapter. Like I think overall the story, like it starts off really cool. Like the first chapter I think is a cool chapter overall. And then it kind of, I feel like it has a very slow build up for much of the game. And then finally it starts, like things kind of start kicking off, getting excited. Shinnok is released, okay, and then it's over.
All right,
The
I'll
ending
tell you
itself
what
was
I
also
think.
very sudden.
I'll tell you what I think. If we've been playing Mortal Kombat 11 story. If you look at the difference between Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 11, I argue that Mortal Kombat X's story mode is not really thought about plot-wise, but really designed to be like moment to moment. You know, like this is a moment that happens. This is a moment that happens, and it's not really like cohesively tied together into one plot narrative. And in Mortal Kombat 11, it's easily apparent how much better the storytelling has gotten. You know,
Um,
I think the dialogue, the transitions, the explanations, and the actual pace of the plot is much better in Mortal Kombat 11, and I think they just get better in every game.
I mean, I
Granted,
agree
this
with
was their
you.
first original plot in like 10 plus years.
I mean, nine had a sort of original plot, you could argue, but I think, um, I mean, I think the problem. I mean, I agree with you that 11 improves upon the story in basically every way, but I also think that you said like 10 is more like kind of like each chapter is like focused on a specific moment, whatever. It's not tied together well. I don't think that. I think the story is cohesive and is one. It's one kind of big story. I just think it's just kind of. I guess if you want to refer specifically to the ending, it's Shinnok gets this huge power up and becomes this demon looking thing, and then you just fight him as Cassie, and boom, he's done. You beat him, and that's it. It's just very anticlimactic, I guess, is the big problem there.
Absolutely. You didn't like
Um,
how they brought Dark Khan into Mortal Kombat?
he was very Dark Con looking.
He was, and
I
sounded,
will agree with that.
and his
And
moveset
sounding.
was similar.
I
You
can't. I
notice
could not tell you about the moveset.
No. That's another thing you'll notice if you like really pay attention and research NetherRealm games like I do is you'll notice that like Injustice, Mortal Kombat, all the different games will like Melina is basically Catwoman. You know, like they have a lot of
Well,
characters that are
yeah,
very, very similar
yeah,
in their
absolutely.
moves and
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't care about that.
no, no,
I
no,
do
it's
think
just
I do.
something you notice.
Yeah, I do agree. It is the third time that they used basic lava monster kind of as a final boss.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they need to stop doing that.
although Shinnok is, I think, more unique than Blaze and Dark Khan were because they were basically just a
Absolutely,
copy of each other.
absolutely.
But
Shinnok is a character to begin with, so that's and I love Shinnok
yeah, see, I like Shinnok as a character. That's
because
also
he's
why I
a
kind of wish he
fallen
was in
elder
the.
god. That's like a cool backstory.
Yeah, I wish he was in the game more.
I wish he was in the game that actually had the elder gods in it.
Oh, yeah, I guess I understand that. Yeah, anyway, I mean, that's the story. I think I can absolutely tell that they are trying to tell a deeper story there, and the effort does show. I do think, it's just clearly their storytelling abilities have much improved since then. So, looking on it, I mean, even as someone who played it very recently, and not having played Mortal Kombat 11 story either when I played Mortal Kombat X, it's just I feel like clear to tell that the story is pretty basic at that time.
Yeah.
Also, I guess one more thing. in terms of, I guess, in terms of you saying that each chapter is kind of a little segment, I do think that that is sort of true in the gameplay aspects of the story, where I did make a comment about this to you before, where I think Mortal Kombat 11 and I think did this way better, where in Mortal Kombat X, it's basically you have kind of a long cutscene before a chapter starts, and then you have fight, maybe 30 to 45-second cutscene, fight, short cutscene, fight, short cutscene, fight. Like you have all your fights right in a row with very short cutscenes in between each fight, and then another extended multi-minute long cutscene before you start the next chapter. That does, I feel like it is like that every chapter, it seems like, and does get kind of formulaic. But again, I do recognize that this was still pretty early in their attempts at serious storytelling, and they have much improved on it. So it's like, overall, I guess I would say it is a negative about the story, but it's not something that is negative about the studio itself.
No, this is something that has been complained about a lot, is the way the story modes are handled in terms of gameplay. It is something that causes contention among the fans because, like you said, it's just basically fights and then cutscenes. In the 3D games, Armageddon and Deception, they had a 3D, free roam conquest mode. And I've always advocated that that was a much more enjoyable and much more interesting story mode to have in a fighting game because there would still be the fighting game aspect in it in the story here and there. It was just much more sparsed out, and you'd be mostly free roaming and talking to people and collecting things. So, I think that that would be a much better method of like a much more fun for the player. Maybe not better in terms of storytelling, so it's kind of hard. Maybe they kind of want to meet somewhere in the middle with cutscenes and free roam and something like that.
Yeah, well, I think Mortal Kombat also has, which is something that I appreciate, is in a lot of their stories, like X and 11, and even if you want to look at the Injustice series as well, everything is always under a time constraint. It's always, oh, the enemy is doing their plot. We have to get ready as fast as possible. So it's very like everything's always moving. We always have to be moving because stuff's going down real soon. And I like kind of not having the freedom aspect because it adds the brevity and seriousness to that situation. Because, for example, I'm not even a specific example. Any open world game. There are a lot of open world games. I could use. I think Horizon. The Horizon series are kind of both can be used as examples for this. Where while you're in the story cutscenes doing story missions, people a lot of time are talking about how you're running out of time. You have to do this quickly. You have to, like, hey, we got months before the world ends. This is top priority.
Right,
We
you have to
to
save the
do all
world
this stuff.
now.
But then once you get into the game, you can literally do whatever you want and face absolutely zero negative consequences for not doing the story. And I think that's something that you just have to kind of accept with those games.
You
It
should
is a
play
complaint.
Majora's Mask.
Oh yeah, because that one actually does that, right? Like you do actually have a time limit the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I think does that well. So I think, yeah, I mean I guess more open world games should be like Majora's Mask, where especially assuming that free roaming is available after you beat the story in most open world games it is. I think make the story a more pressing issue. Like players have to do it, and then they can just explore after the story. But also, a lot of players wouldn't like that, so it's a very fine line to kind of tiptoe across. But again, I do appreciate Mortal Kombat when they say, "Hey guys, like this is happening now." It is because since you're just doing fights and cutscenes, you can't really like waste time and extend the story by just doing whatever you want. Which I mean is kind of something that you encounter in Deception, because Deception itself, throughout most of
Oh,
the game,
yep.
you
The
feel like
whole
you're under a
game
time
is.
constraint, but you're really
Well, they
not, because you could
cover
do
that
whatever you
up
want.
with like he goes through a whole lifespan in this mission.
Well, I mean, there's one like he gets aged by this pool of water he's in.
Shoot, I forgot about that one.
Boom, I win. But you
Shut
are
up.
right that
That's
the
one
story itself.
instance.
But you are right. The story itself, even without that rapid aging thing, it does take place over several years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Um,
Because
yeah.
there's no rush
Anyway,
because you're actually doing it for the villain, so you're the one causing the cataclysm, quote
that is correct.
unquote.
That is
Um,
correct.
oh,
Anyway, Oh, sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, I did want to talk more about the story.
Okay.
Um, all in all, another thing that the story had that I loved is the introduction of meaningful new characters. Specifically the combat kids, obviously. The
Well, hold
combat
on, hold on, hold
kids
on, hold
are
on, hold on, hold on. Uh, you're kind of getting ahead of yourself. Noah, why don't you
oh,
introduce us to the gameplay of Mortal Kombat by talking to us about the combat?
Mortal Kombat is one of the longest running, most beloved fighting games of all time. Um, we've all heard of it. If you're a gamer, you probably know about Mortal Kombat. It follows along the same style as the 2011 reboot, commonly known as Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat X is a 2D fighting game, all the ones since Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Was that 3D?
No, that was 2D.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
So, what
actually,
could you shimmy 3D though? I'm pretty sure you could rotate.
I think you could shimmy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, no, Mortal Kombat. Every game since Mortal Kombat 9 has been 2D from NetherRealm, and I do think that was the right move because 3D is just too hard to balance in a competitive fighting game. So 2D, I think, is a better space to play in for the game itself. And it's still two combatants face each other in a fight to the death. They still don't have the tag mode or all these multiple 3v3 fights like all these other fighting games are doing nowadays. I would love to see a Mortal Kombat with like what is it? Do the cross tag is like that? Dragon Ball Fighters is like that, where you have other people from the game on your team and you can call them in to assist or switch out or something. There's variations in different games, but I think that would be interesting in a Mortal Kombat game. Anyway, oh yeah, Mortal Kombat X, every Mortal Kombat is a little bit different in their fighting game mechanics. They kind of twist it up, add some things, change some things. And Mortal Kombat X added things like the run mechanic was new in this game, and brutalities were new. So the run mechanic was used.
Well,
Every
hold
character
on.
has a what?
Weren't brutalities weren't new, right? Like they were in previous Mortal Kombat games, I think.
I don't think so.
Huh, I was so convinced they were. Okay, carry on.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. Well, I thought this game had introduced brutalities. It certainly introduced brutalities in the sense that they are, instead of the end screen finish him screen, they happen during the last round. And it is the last hit you have on the opponent, and it has to be under a certain condition. Like you must have used this move 3 times in the match or something like that. And then it will basically do like a mini fatality with that move. And what's really cool about that is in Mortal Kombat X, this is the only Mortal Kombat game where you can do this. You can kill your opponent, hit them for a ridiculously long combo into a brutality. It is probably the most visually spectacle type of Mortal Kombat game,
I do think it's
known for its very fast-paced, intense combos. One person's usually in control the whole match, and then it just switches, and that's why they slowed it down at 11.
yeah, I think it's incredibly impressive how I mean, and this is something that really dates back to even the original Mortal Kombat, how absolutely intricate some of these kind of puzzles and things can be in terms of like puzzles meaning the intricate combos or conditions you have to meet to do certain things like unlocking brutalities. Like in some of the old games to like unlock secret fights, and even in MKX to unlock like some secret fights, you have to say like do a certain fight, get a flawless victory or a double flawless victory, win a round without blocking, and then end with a fatality or end with a brutality to like meet super specific requirements to unlock secret fights, things like
Yep,
that. It's always been wildly impressive that one, they were able to code and create something that specific. Two, that people somehow figure it out.
100%.
Anyway, Noah, you continue with combat. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. Yep, so this game also brought back the X-ray moves. I said the combat was fast,
Also,
fast paced.
talk about variations because I didn't put them in the document.
Oh, that's a good one. Variations. This Mortal Kombat X was the first Mortal Kombat game that introduced variations. Love them or hate them, they seem
Just
to
quick
be a
pause here. Love them or hate them, yeah. Do you not count Deadly Alliances? Do you not count those as variations?
No, I don't count those as variations.
All right,
Those
I'm
are
just
stances
yeah, they are. I
because
feel
you
like
can
maybe a
change
bit
in
of
the
a
middle of a
precursor.
fight.
That is true. You can. All right,
Yeah, those you
continue.
use all those in the middle of a fight, so you're not really like, then none of those tools are taken away from you. These variations are you're given three. Each character in Mortal Kombat X has three variations. There is a base variation. You can you can pick no variation in the character select screen and not have any of the moves from them. But what it is there's a base variation, and then the three variations you pick from will give you distinct strings or special moves or unique attacks that have that give that variation a unique playstyle for that character. For instance, Raiden has a variation where he is like kind of it's all about combos and going in and putting pressure on. And then he's got another variation where his pressure moves are taken away and he's given like lightning traps, and it's supposed to be like a defensive, thoughtful trapping kind of variation, right? So they're meant to kind of tailor to different play styles and show you that each character can be used in multiple different ways. Right idea, I think it just ends up limiting some characters in some ways. I think it ends up making it harder to balance in some instances. But I also like the variations because it feels like there's more to the characters than there is. You know what I mean? You feel
I
like you're
I
switching
do.
kind of move sets, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're still playing the
See,
same
I
character.
I overall do also like the variations. I think the concept itself very interesting. Um, I think it's cool that each variation has its own specific moves. I guess I do understand in terms of, especially if you're someone who maybe plays this game competitively, it can be very annoying because that means not only now you have to memorize how to fight Johnny Cage, his moves, his frames, all that, but now also, well, which variation is it? Because they're each different. Yeah, having
Exactly.
to
You
memorize these
get it.
specific variations of characters. I can understand from a competitive aspect how absolutely annoying that must be. But I think in terms of a casual aspect, that's me, casual gamer, Jaden Fine, you it's really cool because one, I think hypothetically, I would assume the alternative to variations is just each character having all of those moves available.
And that's a lot.
And
That's a good point.
yeah, that's a lot, man. I think the variations kind of limiting your moves to the one specific to that variation. It makes it a bit easier and a bit less intimidating, kind of
That
looking
is a
at, say, that
great
move
point
select
because
screen.
even with the variation, I feel like there's a lot of moves that just get like dropped because you feel like they're not good enough. And I can't remember all those moves. I'm using like the five best.
Yeah. So I do think it's one of those things where limiting a choice actually makes it easier to play a game. Um, I think that's why some of you see like some of the greatest games of all time typically are very simple in several aspects of the game, be it the combat or kind of maybe other aspects. So I think limiting your options, while some people would argue that, more options is always better, I personally think it depends. And I think in a game like Mortal Kombat, where you have all of these intricate combos and the different ways you could string them together, limiting that with the variations makes it, I think, a lot easier to kind of just grasp and do when you're someone who's casually just sitting and playing.
Well said, well said. As Mortal Kombat is by far the most popular fighting game in terms of commercial sales, um, it is obvious that they are trying to tailor to audiences that are very far apart, and that they do an amazing job of it, making these games accessible to both high execution, top tier fighting game players who are trying their hardest, and the most casual of Jadens who, just plays the story mode.
Hey, that's me. Anyway, yeah. So again, variations, love them. I understand why people hate them, but I love them. Anyway, Noah, as you kind of kept trying to mention earlier, and I kept trying to stall you on, Mortal Kombat X introduced a lot of new characters, and is that was kind of one of their big things they were pushing from the very first kind of announcement and trailers is all the new characters in this game. Why don't you tell us about them?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the two that are meaningless to me. First of all, Ferrator. Kind of like reminds me of a Moloch type of character who is just a big body in here and doesn't like it. They're a cool design. I love their backstory. Like as a character, Ferrator and their race, whose name is escaping me, has a really unique kind of like civilization type ritual that they do. Like that's why they always have like a big and a little together. Kind of reminds me of the little sister and the big daddy too, but that's another thing. I just don't like them because they're not involved in the story at all, and they're just used as like somebody to fight. And the same problem goes for Aaron Black, who's introduced, and he's a cowboy from Earthrealm who was taken from the Old West, and he was taken to Outworld. I'm pretty sure he was hired. He was just, I guess, that good at what he does, and he somehow has immortality in Outworld or something like that. Um, Aaron Black, he became popular because Sonic Fox played him is, the big thing that happened and won so many tournaments for years with him. But he came back in Mortal Kombat 11 and he was the same thing. Wasn't really much of a character there either, in my opinion. So I don't like Aaron Black and Ferrator. If they come back, I would like to see a little bit more character from them. Other than that, you have two of the best characters introduced in this game, Kotal Khan and Devora. I would not be surprised if you see Devora for a long time. She's a great villain. She's strong. She is basically to me like a better version of Quan Chi, what like his position is, because she is actually able to kill people and get things done. They use her as a very good plot device. She is in a lot of intense combat situation in both Mortal Kombat X and 11, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her again. Kotal Khan, the new Khan of Outworld, who is a nice guy. Great thought. Like I love that change, and I love Kotal's character. He's like based on Aztec type god characters, and that's really cool. The problem with Kotal is he's just put in the story to get beat on. We all know that, especially after Mortal Kombat 11. Anyway,
Yeah, I
finally,
feel like
yeah,
Kotal is one, as you said, I absolutely love him. I think his design is great. I think as a character, he's great. He actually changing up one of the longest Mortal Kombat traditions and having Outworld and Earthrealm kind of tentatively be allied here.
also a
Awesome move.
different Khan.
And a different con. Very cool. But I also 1,000,000% agree with you that he just gets beat up all the time. He is not a great fighter, I guess.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that must be it. Oh
yeah.
yeah, finally, we get to the Combat Kids. The Combat Kids are somebody we all wanted to hate on our way into the game, but we grow to love most of them. I grew to love Takeda and Jackie Briggs. Cassie Cage, I did not love in Mortal Kombat X. I thought she was basically like a millennial, whatever Gen Z version of Sonya. She's just too much like Sonya for me. And then there's Kung Jin. Kung Jin is a cool character. Like I love his lines. He's very comical. He has cool weapons. He's interesting to watch, his play styles and his variations. My problem with him is he's such an afterthought and like his character development and his writing because he's all the other combat kids are very close to the main cast. And they're like, oh, Kung Jin, yeah, he's Kung Lao's second cousin twice removed. Why is he here? What makes him important or special? Why is he strong? Could we just grab any of the monks and start making characters out of them? Like, I don't get it. I thought Liu Kang and Kung Lao were special. So,
Well, I think his whole thing was like he was a thief and like got caught by Raiden, and Raiden,
yeah,
like
that
I
was a
think it
whole
was
thing.
like he was kind of Raiden's chosen guy.
But I'm talking about like, meta in terms of thinking
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like,
yeah. I get you.
I'm a NetherRealm writer, and I'm saying, hey, let's bring in a monk who's related to Kung Lao somehow. You know, when it like it just I don't know. I get what they were going for, like 4 of them. I just feel like Kung Jin was a little bit of an afterthought and could have been given a bit more time. I thought everybody else was just given more time, more screen time, more development.
I got you.
Takeda, what a combination. The son of Kenshi trained by Scorpion. Enough said.
Very, very cool. Very
Right,
cool.
enough said. Jackie, I thought she was, being the daughter of Jax and having like she has these like arm gauntlets things. That's kind of like her staple, I guess. And those are cool. I didn't really play as her very much, but I liked her in the story. I just thought she was a great combat kid.
Yeah, I think, I guess, of the combat kids, as you call them, she's definitely my favorite of the 4. I really like Jackie.
Yep, so that's the new characters.
Yep, and I do agree with what you said about Cassie. I feel like she is basically just a younger Sonya. In MKX, I feel like her character
In
is
Mortal
not
Kombat
great.
11,
She
she was
can't.
much better. You're right.
Yeah, like in MKX, she can't really stand on her own. Her whole thing is just being their daughter. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and that's kind of it. That's kind of her whole shtick is, hey, like, hey, my mom's the legendary General Sonya Blade, and my dad's the fighter who defeated Shinnok Johnny Cage. Hey, I also have powers like my dad. And that's kind of her whole thing. I think she was not given the best kind of writing story in MKX, but that's fine. They fix it anyway.
Right. So anyway, in the modes, we have 1v1, King of the Hill.
Online, this is
Oh,
online
my
modes.
bad, the
You didn't.
online mode.
Yeah.
1v1, King of the Hill, Survivor, and test your luck.
Did you play online MKX a lot?
Not publicly, I played private matches with friends and still do.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I still play MKX, Injustice 2, and Mortal Kombat 11 with friends.
Yeah, you bunch of nerds. Noah, let me ask this. I assume you've done King of the Hill.
Yeah.
So King of the Hill is basically just like a winner goes on thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just you and I think up to 8 people in a lobby, and you just watch the fight. Whoever wins moves
I
on,
think
fights the
it's like
next guy.
6, but yeah, that's how we usually play.
Cool. Anyway, that's online. Obviously, I've never played it. Never would. Again, I'm just not good enough fighting games to play online.
No, that's
But
fair. I was
but
not good
it
enough at Mortal Kombat X to play online either.
it's the bread and butter of these fighting games. Competing against other people. So I understand why it exists. Good on you, NetherRealm.
Yeah, no, it's a huge tournament. Mortal Kombat X still today has a lot of tournaments and whatnot. You can find them
Yes.
all over YouTube. Anyway, the additional gameplay mechanics. We can talk about the towers. Classic Mortal Kombat mechanic. Every NetherRealm Midway game ever had towers in some form or fashion. Basically, defeat a series of opponents to unlock a hidden ending for whichever character you play as. One of my favorite mechanics in these games. I love after I beat the story and I unlock all the characters and whatnot, I go through and I beat the tower with every single character and see what their ending is because they're all unique and interesting and special to that character. So they're fun to watch.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The endings, they have been there since the beginning. Initially that was, I mean, kind of the only sort of story mode they had for a long time was watching the different endings. Yeah, I think towers, again, classic. You fight one enemy, you beat them, you go on to the next one. Introduced, and I'm pretty sure it was introduced in Mortal Kombat 9, and something that does continue in this game. At least I hope it was introduced in MK9. It was in Injustice at the very least. Were the different kinds of towers, each like different towers that had different difficulties, maybe different completion requirements as well. Such as complete the entire tower with only 1 health bar. The kind of survivor challenge, that's a classic one. Or having various other stipulations. Very interesting. I'm not good enough to do most of them, but I do like that variety. I like some of the tower concepts can be pretty interesting, and I like, again, just them trying to Just add more variety to a very classic, long-standing mechanic. My favorite tower, Noah, is test your
Yeah.
might.
Test Your Might, a series of increasingly difficult minigames where you mash buttons to build up strength to a certain point and then unleash that strength to break an object. A classic Mortal Kombat minigame.
Yeah. I don't know how far back this goes. I know the oldest game that I remember it being in is Deadly Alliance. It might even be older than that one. It is. I love it. I love the mini games. As you said, you mash buttons, and there's on the left side of the screen typically there's a meter that builds up, and there's like kind of a line on the meter. You have to mash buttons to build up, get above that line, and press whatever button to break said object. It gets increasingly harder as the objects get increasingly harder, and they're pretty fun objects that they use. I feel like, and
Oh yeah, they're hilarious.
yeah, and Mortal Kombat X introduced this kind of unique fun mechanic where if you lose, you straight up just get killed. There are death animations if you fail. Um, yeah, that's a fun little side thing. They did get rid of a mode that I liked in MK9, but I can understand maybe people not liking it. Test Your Strike, which is a similar concept to Test Your Might, except instead of just building up your meter past a certain point, you have to like fit it in this like small gap. You know what I'm talking about? No, like on the bar, there's kind of like two markers, I guess you could say, maybe even like a whole highlighted rectangle
Oh yeah,
square,
yeah, yeah. You can't
and
get it. You
you're
can't get the
yeah,
bar too high. You have to control
yeah,
where it
your
is. Yeah,
meter
in a
your meter
range.
has to be in that specific range to successfully break the object. They got rid of that, and I mean, I thought it was an interesting game, but
Yeah,
it's not
good
like I'm
riddance to
super heartbroken
that.
about that one being gone. But Test Your Might, incredibly fun. Um,
Living Towers.
Living Towers.
Timed Tower Challenges. A first for a NetherRealm game. There is an hourly, daily, and premier weekly challenge with different opponents and modifiers. When completed, they unlock modifiers for custom combat. I hate Living Towers.
I am shocked. I thought Living Towers was something you enjoyed.
Living Towers, the problem with them is it's not like the challenge tower in Mortal Kombat 9 where all of the challenges are I don't know what is different about it, but in Mortal Kombat 9, that challenge tower was fun, and all the living towers I've ever played are not fun. They just don't hit that same note.
Yeah, I think, this is their first try at this kind of like daily,
That's true, but
weekly
I'm saying
challenges.
this as somebody who played it in Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11 also at this point,
Yeah,
and
but this was
still
their
think
first,
they
so I think
need
they
to.
improved it. Because
I think they need to drop it or
so
change
you
it.
don't like the concept at all.
No, I don't like the concept at all. I think it's I would rather they like get rid of other single player mode or local single player co-op modes to
Okay, I
do
get what you're
living
saying.
towers. And it's just like,
Yeah,
it's switching all the time. It's procedurally generated. The rewards are usually not very meaningful. There's not really a point. So if you're not playing the game online, this is what you have for single player content. And if they're not fun, the game is not fun.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I overall, as a person, do not like daily, weekly, hourly challenges. Because I personally I find them very restricting. I think having an hourly, I guess, makes it better because it is such a short refresh rate. But especially for daily and weekly, it's annoying when you want to progress in a game, maybe unlock more stuff, whatever. But you can't do that when you beat like I experience like my big experience, daily weekly challenges was in Rayman Legends where I had to do daily and weekly challenges, and it's annoying. It's like it was fun. Say like talking about Rayman Legends. I enjoyed getting on playing the game for maybe 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes every 7 days when a new weekly challenge would come up, and then just putting it down, moving on. But at the same time, it's annoying how it hampers your progression. So you can only progress, at most, at a days once a day, and then there's every once in a while there's the week one. I do not like them in terms of progression. Like I get it because it's something that it always offers a fresh challenge, because you have your hourly, every hour there's a new challenge that you might not have done before, or every day there's a new challenge you might not have done before, every week there's a new challenge you might not have done before. I feel like the hypothetical draw in of including modes like this, but I think overall I agree with you that they should not exist. Overall, I do not like them.
I mean, it would be fine if they were in. I just want more single player content, kind of like other modes for fun. Like in Injustice 1, they had those whole
Star
character
Labs,
yeah, the Star
yeah,
Labs,
the
all the
Star
character
Labs. That was
challenges.
one of my favorite parts of Injustice, and I was very upset when they got rid of it in Injustice 2. I completely agree with that.
And what did they
Um,
replace it with?
the multiverse,
Which is basically
Living Towers.
living towers.
Yeah, I think I do agree because even more or so, I did get the platinum in Injustice 2, and that took I think at least a month or longer because at the end I just have to keep doing challenges over and over again, and as I said, it really just hampers your progress. It can be annoying when especially like you said, when maybe this daily challenge, this weekly challenge is not a fun one, so I don't even enjoy playing it.
Yeah, I
But
wonder
it's
if
like
they're
I have to do it.
procedurally generated or not.
I have to imagine. I cannot imagine there is a person at NetherRealm Studios that is straight up just spending his entire workday coming up with these. I imagine
That's
they have
true.
to be. They have to be
That's a
procedurally
fair point.
generated. Yep. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay,
Oh
so
my
there
goodness.
are also the tower challenge slash tower battles. An online aspect to towers where you compete with other players for higher scores in challenges by completing the towers and challenges that pop up in some fights. Tower challenges involve challenging a specific player to beat your high score. This is a cool mechanic for I somebody out there who might use this. I never use this mechanic. There is something like this in Mortal Kombat 11, and you actually have like rewards, but it's like a community leaderboard and with scores and stuff. I just go back and forth on this.
Well,
I
that's what
do.
Tower Battles is. Like, these two very similar
Yeah, the tower
concepts of
battles,
yeah.
the
Tower
online.
Battle is like a community leaderboard. Tower
Yeah,
Challenges, you
tower
challenge a
challenges I
specific
like.
player.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, no, excuse me. I thought that was the challenges while you're in the towers. Like while you're in
No,
a fight, it'll
no.
be like
Well,
do 5 special moves or something like that.
that is correct. That is a part of these. Those when you're doing a tower battle, certain fights will have those challenges. A tower challenge is challenging someone specifically to beat your high score. But as you said, the challenges in the fight are cool and interesting. And again, it's just something that encourages you to maybe try different things. So like you said, using the special moves. Maybe if you're someone who doesn't necessarily use a lot of special moves yourself, I don't know why you're playing Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat if
or
that's the
throw
case, but
or
maybe you're that
jump.
guy. Yeah, exactly. It's cool. But overall, I can appreciate trying to put a more social multiplayer aspect into towers,
Yeah, they're
but
trying things.
yeah, I feel like it's not necessary.
Invasion is a new special mode in Mortal Kombat X. Your game can be invaded by new challengers. These occur every few days and last 24 hours when they do. There are 3 different types of invasion challenges: invasion bosses, invasion tower, and invasion 1v1 fights. So these are basically just different types of fights that will pop up. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
You know anything about them? Want to say anything about them?
I mean no, because I didn't play
That's fair.
any of this aspect. I did think again it's an interesting concept. I think it's sort
Yeah,
of
the
bringing back
concept is interesting.
it's sort of bringing back some of those slight, as I talked about earlier, the puzzles of unlocking characters, like the invasion 1v1 fights. You have to unlock them going through certain towers, and each different tower you can do has a requirement. Like you have to, on specifically the eighth fight, win one round without blocking and end with brutality. Or it's the same requirements, but you can do this on the third or the eighth fight. It brings back that kind of very intricate requirements of Mortal Kombat back, which is why I like the invasions for that reason. Because I always thought, as I said earlier, super intricate, super confusing. I would never be good enough to do them, but very interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
very cool that they did bring that kind of aspect back. Anyway, let's talk about factions. Noah, talk about factions.
Factions. All right, here we go. Mortal Kombat X introduced the concept of factions, where you ally yourself with one group of fighters: the Lin Kuei, White Lotus, Special Forces, Black Dragon, or Brotherhood of Shadows. The factions compete in the Faction War. In Faction War, factions have to do their best to gain as many points as possible. Points can be earned by doing a multitude of things, such as winning fights, pulling off finishers and X-rays, stringing combos together, and more. Players can also earn points for their faction by playing in the offline modes, provided they are simultaneously online while doing so, like connected to the servers. At the end of each week, a faction will be announced as the winners, and every player within that faction will be awarded based on their contribution. Players can also earn various rewards by competing in this mode, ranging from the faction-specific faction kill, a new type of finisher, basically like a fatality, but it's a faction fatality, to exclusive player card customization items such as backgrounds, frames, and icons. The less important stuff. This was really cool in theory, but it just it becomes a background thing so fast, and you just never think about it. When you boot up the game, you pick a faction, and that's almost the last time you hear about it.
Yeah, MKX is not the first game that I've played with a system like this. It probably won't be the last. I mean, I'll just be honest, I don't care and I've never cared. I do appreciate that in these factions, you do not have to play online to help. I will always appreciate a game that lets the less skilled of us assist our factions
Yeah, so
while
you
still
can
playing
play Living
offline.
Towers and feel like you did something.
That is correct. I very much appreciate that they did allow offline contributions to the faction war. And that's all I'll say about it. Noah, tell us about custom combat.
So, so custom combat is a special type of battle where you pick several different modifiers that change aspects of the fight. Some modifiers might be like a 15-second fight, change the time. Acid rain, bad jumping or no jumping, dizzy fatality, no turtles, just random things. It's kind of like test your luck, but you're picking it.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. There are a lot of modifiers. I went through, looked at a list of a bunch of them. Very entertaining. These are some of my favorites that I picked. Like bad jumping, it hurts you to jump. I think dizzy fatality was a very interesting one where at just random points, one of the two fighters will just be dizzy, kind of like a finish him screen. And I don't know how long they're like that, but if you're able to successfully do a fatality in that moment, you can end the fight right there. I think that's very
That is
interesting.
really funny.
And no turtles, can't duck. No ducking. Interesting. I do like that because Test Your Luck in MK9 was one of my favorite modes. I absolutely loved fighting in Test Your Luck. Like, if I go back and play MK9, it's usually to do some Test Your Luck fights because the modifiers are typically quite comedic and fun. And I love custom combat because it lets you actually pick instead of Test Your Luck doing random and maybe getting, a certain modifier that you don't like or whatever. You actually can pick which modifiers you want. And also like stops you from maybe getting a bunch of repeats and stuff. I very much like the inclusion of custom combat.
Absolutely. Jaden, are you ready?
Yeah,
We're going to talk about the Crypt.
the crypt.
The Crypt is, actually can't remember what Mortal Kombat game introduced the Crypt, but it has become one of the staples of the series. In Mortal Kombat X, I did not spend much time in the Crypt. Let me tell you what it is. An explorable graveyard where you spend your hard-earned gold to buy stuff for the game, like custom combat modifiers, stuff for your online combat card, alternate skins, sometimes a character, sometimes concept art, sometimes music. It could be almost anything you find in the Crypt. These are always fun, creepy, like cinematic excursions. It's basically like a very cinematic shop,
Yeah,
is what the
basically,
Crypt ends up feeling like.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I also love the crypt. As far back as I can remember, it was in Deadly Alliance. That's the oldest game I know that it's in. Uh, if you remember Deadly Alliance, you had like 6 different currencies, so that was kind of annoying.
I thought that was cool, actually, and I'm pretty sure
They
that was
did
Deception.
no, that was Deadly Alliance. I think by Deception they got rid
All
of that
right,
and
all
just had the
right.
one currency. I'll fight you on it. Yeah, Yeah, it's fun. It's like you said, it's first person. You're exploring in MKX. You can actually be attacked by demons. It's like a short, like quick time button press to, knock them away. It's fun. It's probably one of the coolest shops in gaming history. Right up there with the
Oh.
Resident Evil 4 guy.
Oh yeah, that is funny. Yeah, the crypt is great. Those jump scares I hated in this crypt because they would get me all the time.
They get me every time. I hate that part of it.
Anyway, that brings us to our notable trophies.
Yeah. So obviously,
You
I
don't
do
have
not
the
have the platinum in this
platinum.
one. I do not. I do not. So NetherRealm typically has some of the most excruciating trophies to get in terms of length of time. They might not necessarily be difficult, but they have just ridiculous asks here for their trophies. For MK9, My Kung Fu is Stronger is one of, I feel like, the most notorious achievements in the history of gaming for how just ridiculously, stupidly difficult it is. I mean, not
It
even
is on a
difficult.
lot
Just
of lists.
it's not a difficult. It's not even difficult. It just takes a long ass time. MKX has Elder God reach personal level 65 in experience. To reach personal level 65 in experience, you need 1,900,000 experience points. That's just a lot, man. I don't know why they make
That is a lot.
their requirements so insanely high. Like, you have to play the game a lot. And
Mhm.
there are ways to farm XP, faster, but even then, farming XP is still going to take you a long time to do. Yeah, I don't like the profile level system. It's been in NetherRealm games as far back as I'm pretty sure even the first Injustice had it. If not, certainly Injustice 2 did, but I'm 90% sure the first Injustice did. And I just don't like it. It's because the reason I don't like it is because they typically tie a trophy to it that requires you to get an annoyingly high level. The concept itself, trophies notwithstanding, is fine, I guess. It's like a cool little extra thing. Oh, look, like this guy's played this game a lot. He's level 70. But yeah, just tying it into trophies is where I'm like, now you're making this a whole ordeal.
I'm definitely above that in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah. Anyway, now we move on to our questions. Favorite moments, Noah.
My favorite moments were seeing Kuai Liang and Hanzo Hisashi basically bury the
Interacting.
hatchet and interacting and be the human version of both themselves. Actually, they didn't have like masks on, covered up.
That
They're
is
just
true.
talking face to face for the first time.
Yes, very, very cool. I absolutely agree with that being an awesome moment. My favorite was all the new characters, except the combat kids. Personally, I think because there are 8 new characters.
You
There's 4
realize they
combat
make up the
kids.
majority of the new characters.
No, they make up exactly half. There are 8 new characters, 4 combat kids, and 4 other people. If you don't count DLC. I think the new characters are very interesting. Might not necessarily be interesting in the story, looking at you, Ferrator and Aaron Black, but I think in terms of just being characters that exist, I don't hate the combat kids, but I do like Kotal Khan, Devora, Ferrator, and Aaron Black better than the combat kids. But this is an incredibly large amount of new characters in Mortal Kombat, and I do like that. I like that they certainly kind of took a chance here, going in this direction with all these new characters after the reboot. And yeah, it's always fun seeing new characters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because like right now when Mortal Kombat 12 is coming out, everybody just talks about what characters do you want to come back? What characters do you want to see again? But I'm like, what new characters can we get? Like, can we get the Great Kung Lao in here? You know?
Well, I think it's just harder to theorize new characters because that's a blank slate versus characters. Right? I still want Hasu Hao to come
But
back.
what I'm arguing
Maybe
for
it'll be
is I
DLC.
want new characters also,
No,
not
I get what
just
you're
a
saying.
game of
Yeah,
old characters like
yeah,
Armageddon or
absolutely.
something.
Yeah,
Miscellaneous
miscellaneous
things
things.
you liked. I like watching competitive gameplay of Mortal Kombat X. It is what got me into NetherRealm games as fighting games. Um, I started watching Mortal Kombat X first, and then it was Injustice 2, and then when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, I really got into it and I started like playing myself. and I've followed the scene, and it's just been it's a really different side of the community to be a part of. I think it's really fun, and I try to convince people to get into fighting games all the time, but it's very, very hard. And Mortal Kombat X is not helpful with that. It is not for the layman, like I've said. I can't play it. I'm not good at it. It's just really high execution for pretty much every character. So, later games, Injustice 2 and more Mortal Kombat 11, as NetherRealm releases games, they get more and more like non-fighting game fan friendly. And I do hope they continue that trend, even though the actual fighting game players in tournament and whatnot don't like that because they want it to be more complex and harder. Yeah, so if you have never watched it, I do think you should check out at least one Mortal Kombat X tournament, any of the Evos 2016, maybe, just any tournament, Combo Breaker or anything like that. Just watch at least one, and it's just very fast-paced Mortal Kombat. Jaden.
I didn't really have anything miscellaneous that I liked. I'm sorry. I did watch some tournaments of
What
MKX
about
back in the day. It is
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. Okay, what about Devora's Death Kiss with Melina?
Did I like it? Is that what you're
Yeah, did it
asking?
do something for you?
Did it do something for me? I can't say it did.
All right,
Uh,
all right.
I don't know. Maybe my brother talking over it might have affected that. I don't know. Maybe I should play it on my
Rude.
own and I could come back to you. But anyway, things we did not like about the game. As I said earlier, I think the story is a bit bland. Also, I will agree with what you said with in terms of your combos and stuff. Timing is very weird in MKX.
Yes, it's
Um,
extremely both for the
I
strings and like actually doing longer combos.
Yeah, like if you watch our playthrough on our YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros, wink, 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 I very much struggled with getting combos together because the timing is it's just so like precise, and I almost feel like I have to button mash to even accomplish combos just because you have to like press them so close together. I just
Yeah,
very much
exactly what I'm
struggled with
saying.
combos.
There's very few instances of that in Mortal Kombat 11, but I researched it more then because I don't like it. But what it is that's the thing I don't like about the game is the high execution and how difficult it actually is. What it is you have to input the entire string before the character does it in order for the whole string to come out.
It's very
Uh,
bizarre because
yes.
most games ever it's you do it as they're coming out. And even a lot of games with combo systems like this kind of punish you if you press them too fast, because if you hypothetically press, the third button in the combo while only the first move of the combo is actually hitting on screen, it won't register that. So you actually have to slow down your combo pressing in some games to match the speed of the game, which, I mean, overall, I find very helpful because it's just easier to do something if you have this visual cue that you're doing it right while you're, executing the combo. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
so
know. The
yeah,
timing is ridiculously fast. It's ridiculously hard to do. I
yeah,
mean, you've seen the gameplays. Like I barely accomplish combos.
yeah, it's a weird one. Anyway, yeah, as we said, they fixed that, so I guess at least it's a one-off issue.
True that.
Um, anyway, Noah, replayability.
Absolutely. Well, it depends. If you are a single player gamer who doesn't like, who doesn't have friends who like to play Mortal Kombat or doesn't like to play online against other people and get trashed like the rest of us, it is not really that replayable. You will complete the story, you will play a little bit of the towers, maybe get all the endings, try the living towers for a bit, and you will get bored unless, you're a huge Mortal Kombat fan and you just love fighting computers, I guess. I personally don't really find that incredibly enjoyable, so I would say as a single player game, no, this is not replayable. If you have friends or will play online, yes, it is replayable.
Yeah, I guess really a part of the problem is fighting games just inherently don't really fit the replayability question mold. Most other games, because fighting games, you know, are made to be played with other people. Like, yeah, you can fight a computer, whatever, but they're very much kind of made to be played with friends and with other people. So, as someone who doesn't do that, to me, it is not replay. It's a beat and delete. every once in a while I might come back, play a couple fights or whatever, but yeah, it's not necessarily made for people like me.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, we move on to DLC. Ever since Mortal Kombat 9 in 2011, there has not been a NetherRealm game without DLC. That was a double negative. I don't know if I said that right.
You got it. It's fine. Yeah, and not Mortal Kombat, NetherRealm is known for their crazy, fun, outrageous DLC fighters, and I think
they're known as guest characters.
yes, MKX I think is the game that really kicked off the craziness. If you go back, MK9 had Freddy Krueger, which was I guess a fun start.
And Kratos.
Injustice, yeah, but he wasn't DLC. He was in the base game. It's like, yes, he's a guest character, but he's not technically DLC. I don't know. He's weird, but he is a guest character. And Injustice had a few characters, but I don't know if you would necessarily call them guest characters. Other than, I guess they did have a guest character. They had Scorpion.
No, they were guest characters.
Well, just
the first
anyway,
Injustice. No, just had Scorpion.
The first, yes. And MKX is where they really just decided to go absolutely off the rails, insane with all of the crazy guest characters they have when they introduced Combat Pack 1, which included the likes of Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, Predator from Predator, and then returning Mortal Kombat character Tanya, and completely new DLC character Tremor.
Yep, Tremor has never been playable before. I think he has appeared in some form or fashion, but Tremor is, I guess I'll talk about these 4 characters in the first pack. Jason, extremely fun character. He was somebody I played, but actually all 4 of these characters are top tier. Something that NetherRealm is known for doing is making the DLC characters overpowered in relation to the rest of the cast. So what happens is, like Predator, Tanya, and Tremor, like Tremor at the end of the game and now to this day is widely regarded as the best character in the game. I hope Tremor comes back in a main game. He is like Scarlet. He's just one of those that's like such a cool character that was made up for DLC. It seems like wasted potential, needs to be given some story, given some lines. Let's get him involved. He was really cool. Tanya was only cool because her gameplay had one of her variations had a staff that was really fast paced and kind of oppressive. The fact that Predator and Jason and the other 2 characters we're about to get to were added is insane. So yeah, yes. Combat Pack 2.
Combat Pack 2 brought returning character fan favorite Bo Rai Cho, made him playable. Woo! They also brought back one of the coolest and unfortunately kind of non-repeatable DLC characters in the history of Mortal Kombat, in my humble opinion, Triborg, which was, Noah, correct me if I'm wrong here, it was Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke Robot.
Wrong.
Oh, wasn't Smoke? Was it?
Nope, you're right. It's Cyrax, Sector, Smoke, and Cyber Sub-Zero.
Oh, Cyber Sub-Zero was part of it?
If you select no variation with Triborg, you get Cyber Sub-Zero.
Wow, that's awesome. It's Quadborg.
It is secretly Quadborg, yeah.
So, just talk the absolute insanity of Triborg, Quadborg. It's something that I say can't be repeated because
this is an excellent use of the variation system.
Excellent use of the variation system, where the
variations unique movesets.
The variations unique movesets, because your 3 variations are Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke. So they have the moves of those classic Mortal Kombat characters, and it's all one character. It's very cool. It only takes up 1 character slot, and you get 3 characters. And as I just learned, you actually get 4 because you can get Cyber Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Very cool. I kind of equate it to the what was it called? The premium skins in
yeah, but that didn't change movesets at all,
No, it didn't, but I think it's very
I actually like this a lot better than premium skins.
Well, premium skins in Injustice 2, which are basically alternate skins for characters that have the appearance of a completely different character that is typically similar, but the characters have the same moveset. For example, the Flash premium skins, he had Reverse Flash and Jay Garrick Flash. So it's like 3 unique different characters, had different voice actors even, but it only takes up 1 character slot. So you're not wasting a character slot on, potentially just a repeat character.
The alternate
almost.
side of that, in my argument, is they don't have unique movesets, so they're not unique characters.
Yeah, but I think the speed guys. What are you going to do to make them unique? They all have super speed. But that's an argument for our Injustice 2 episode. So the variations, again, is basically just a more in-depth version of that. But I like it because it gets you Cyrax, Sector, Cyber Sub-Zero, and Smoke. But instead of having, because it'd kind of be annoying if 4 character slots being taken up by the 4 robots, which would be kind of annoying. Oh, actually, you get to play. You still get all the characters, but it only takes up 1 slot. I love that they did that. It's really cool. Anyway, also introduced guest characters Alien from the Xenomorph from Alien.
Whoa!
And what? Oh, you were just saying.
Just
okay.
reacting.
And all the way back from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you get Leatherface.
All right. Yeah, so these guest characters in Mortal Kombat X are known as the, like 80s horror monster type guest characters. And, they fell into a theme. And so people were looking for Mortal Kombat 11 for the guest characters to fall into it, like a similar theme. And they really don't.
All
it's
right.
kind of like whoever they can get. I think that
I mean,
what
that's
I've
basically
learned
it,
following the team, very closely in development of the games and, the post-game DLC talks, they won't, they'll have like ideas of their Mortal Kombat characters, but the guest characters are all up in the air until they can get the rights. Like in Mortal Kombat 11, everybody, there was a lot of data mining and information that suggested that Ash Williams was going to come. And, people talked about it and it sounded like they were close to doing it. And then it switched at the last minute and went to another character. Anyway.
Yeah. That's also, following Ed Boon on Twitter, a lot of people in terms of horror movies especially want Michael Myers as a DLC character. And Ed Boon has said, yeah, we tried, they wouldn't let us do it. So he is never coming to Mortal Kombat because whoever owns the rights to Michael Myers would not let them do it.
Yeah, exactly. That happens. I love the idea that a guest character could be literally anybody.
Yeah, I think they legitimately initially do not have any sort of limit on who the guest character can be. It's just, maybe they are like, oh, okay, let's try this guy, and they don't get the rights. Oh, okay, we're not doing him. Or they try and they discover, there's not really a good way to put this character in Mortal Kombat. I guess we can't do that. Like they, at the beginning, nobody is off the table, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I just assume that they get these like horror characters a lot more often because those licenses are not afraid of having those characters in the brutal setting of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think that's their biggest
like I saw
attraction when asking for
fans were asking for Ellie in Mortal Kombat 12, and I saw a tweet from Ed Boon and he just said no. He was like, I don't want to see her fatality. Okay. They just don't want to mix certain things with Mortal Kombat. It's kind of like when they did Mortal Kombat in DC.
Yeah, not the heroic brutalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's the DLC. I think they're very cool DLC characters.
Make fun of him all you want. Bo Raicho is one of my favorite characters to play.
No, I love Bo Raicho. He's awesome. Great character. Anyway, yeah, that's DLC. Moving on to final thoughts about MKX, Noah.
MKX was an upgrade to MK9, both in terms of gameplay and story. So every game, NetherRealm takes, another step up, and, I love to see that trend continue. It continued to Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11, and hopefully it's going to continue to Mortal Kombat 12.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think NetherRealm is a studio very accomplished, whereas, I think MK9 was technically NetherRealm's first game, but ever since the MK9 reboot, every game they've released has been better than the last. Not, in every aspect, but overall better than the last. And, they keep improving. And it's very cool. It's very impressive to see that they heavily, I think, are one of the best studios I've ever seen in terms of listening to their audience and trying to do what they can to make as many people as happy as possible. Because not a lot of game studios do that. A lot of them, they do whatever they want for the most part. And
right.
I understand that they're making the game, and for some studios, it's not really possible to listen to obviously all the audience feedback and use it constructively. But NetherRealm is able to do that, and I think they do it very well. And I think MKX is better than MK9. It's better than Injustice: Gods Among Us. It is not as good as Injustice 2 or MK11. As they keep improving, it is exactly where it is in that lineup to me. It is a good game overall. I do like it. Anyway, that's Mortal Kombat X.
Woo! Now we move on to the indie bit, the bit where we talk about indie games.
Yay!
Today we're talking about Virginia. So let me tell you this story. I was on the PlayStation Plus.
Noah, I just want you to
Extra-
know I beat this game. Like I played it
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Like almost, I think the day after we recorded the last episode is when I started it. I've been so excited to talk to you about this one.
So Virginia, I saw it on the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium catalog, the PS Pass, as we've been calling it. And it's clearly an indie game, so I checked it out and I thought it looked interesting and wacky, so I thought I would download it. It is basically a cost-effective story game-ish. It basically is kind of like a very, very toned down Telltale game with absolutely no dialogue and just music, noises, and sounds to tell a story that is in jarring cuts and, confusing flashbacks and flash forwards to tell a tale about an FBI agent in Virginia or whose name is Virginia.
No, she's in Virginia. Her name is
Okay,
Anne.
thank you. And that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. They had it on her nameplate on the desk.
That is correct.
So anyway, yeah, the gameplay is you basically are walking around and you have an interact button and you can interact with doors, objects, things like that to basically progress the scene. Yeah, I don't know. I was just, the whole game I was just waiting for it to make sense and to click the story to click with me. And I just never understood exactly what was going on. It did take just less than 2 hours, I'm pretty sure. And I did play through the whole thing. The only thing I can actually praise about this game is the music, who I think was the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what it was because I made a note of it because I thought the music was fantastic.
That is fair.
And it was the only thing holding this game aloft for me. Not to say, that there's not a story or potential here. It is just very, very, very toned down and cost effective. Jaden, what did you think of Virginia?
Okay, so, man. I didn't like it. You said it's like a Telltale game. I think, like a toned down Telltale game. I think calling it a Telltale game is a bit of a stretch. I would
said
argue
extremely toned down.
I would argue calling it a game is a bit of a stretch because the only things you do in this game pretty much are walk forward
Hey,
and
all your games
sometimes
are
interact
walking
with things.
simulators, so
No, here's the thing. The art style is weird. When I first saw like a character, I thought, "Oh, okay. Okay, this is what they're going with. Okay. That's fine." And then, because typically I assumed that this game was going to be a walking sim. But here's the thing, it is not a walking sim, other than the walking part. Because walking sims, one, typically, because you're just walking, they have very beautiful environments, very good looking environments, because that's kind of all they have to focus on. In this game, you can't explore. Like that part of a walking sim is out. There is no exploration. You are typically in very small environments and just have to find something to interact with, which is, again, typically very obvious and right in front of you. There is no puzzle solving here at all. There's no, oh, what am I supposed to do? It's always very obvious. The story is incredibly confusing. I finished the story and thought, what the hell just happened? And then I went on Wikipedia and read a plot description, and I thought, I didn't get any of that, and it still doesn't make any sense.
So what did happen?
So I'm gonna break in indie bit tradition
Very,
here.
very
I'm going
quick.
to very quickly tell you about this game. Set in the last days of summer 1992, player takes control of Ann Tarver, rookie FBI special agent, assigned to investigate the disappearance of a missing boy, Lucas Fairfax, in the fictional town of Kingdom, Virginia.
That part I got.
Paired with Maria Halperin, an experienced but discredited agent. And supervisor instructs her to secretly monitor Maria for any signs of distrustfulness. I basically got all that. Anne finds Lucas had an interest in photography, finds a nearby cave where he may have hung out. After the two narrowly escape a minor cave-in, they return to the site the next day where Maria is accosted by a young teen who takes a locket she wears containing a photo of her mother, Judith Ortega, who had also been an FBI agent. I didn't know that was her mother.
Her wife.
I thought that was her wife. Absolutely. They arrest the teen, and among his possessions include LSD, which Anne keeps for a small sample for herself. Did you know that was LSD?
I did, and I knew
did
you
not.
were not gonna know that.
I did
was
not.
LSD.
No,
Yeah.
I had no clue. I had no clue that was LSD. I thought it was like a postage stamp.
If that
I was
tells
like, "What
you
is this
anything
thing?"
about the Super Gamer Bros, I know. I thought
I-
that too for a second because she was holding it over the envelope as if she was
Yeah.
about to stamp it, and I was like, "Oh, these are important stamps."
I was like, "What the hell is this?" So as they continue to investigate, they find some of Lucas's photos that point to the abandoned observatory in town. Seems to be a focal point. They're denied entry when forces from the local Air Force base arrive to block access, while other townspeople, including Lucas's father and the mayor, arrive. Back at the headquarters, Anne investigates Judith and learns that she had been discredited by the agency for unusual investigation methods similar to Maria. So like mother, like daughter, basically. As they're getting gas, Maria inadvertently tips over Anne's bag and finds the secret files on her. She drives off, leaving Anne to fend for herself. Anne decides to search for Maria's locket, then returns to her apartment. She enters, then returns to Maria's apartment. Anne goes to Maria's apartment. She enters the place through lockpicking and finds a special room that includes numerous case files from Maria's mother, Judith's time at the agency, revealing that she had been investigating Anne's father. Didn't know Anne's father was in this game at all, in any capacity.
Nope.
Like she was investigating Anne's father. I didn't know that was a thing. Having discovered a conspiracy within the FBI. Anne finds Maria, returns her locket, and throws away the instructions to track her. In return, Maria gives her the envelope of LSD she had taken from Anne's apartment, showing that she also had been tracking Anne, or spying on her. The next morning, both are arrested and jailed by local police force, Air Force generals, and the FBI director to keep them out of the way. Out of the way of what? I have no idea.
No idea.
I guess it has to do with the observatory. Anne has a vision of the future where she rats out on Maria and leads her to continue along a line of similar explosions within, within the exposures within the agency, where she's basically ratting on people and just ends up working her way to the top. And then all that's a dream. She's back in the jail cell. She decides not to go that way. She gives Maria her locket back and decides to take the LSD, a method that Judith had recommended at times, Maria's mother. I never got that. In her vision, she witnesses a strange ritual at the observatory by key people in the town, as well as the FBI director. Then she experiences each of them at their weakest, whereas Lucas's father, the priest, was caught having an affair by Lucas. She recalls her own past, seeing her bedridden father after becoming an FBI agent. He gives her a key to a locked box. The key had broken when she opened it. She considers the contents of the box too dangerous and just burns them. So you never get to figure out what the hell that shit is about.
The heck?
Then, having come to a point of catharsis from her vision, Anne and Maria leave the town behind. On the way out, they spot a young man who looks like the missing boy hitchhiking his way out of town. I don't know if that's actually him or not. I don't know. I remember thinking, hey, it kind of looks like that kid, but nothing is solved here. I was so confused. I read this description and thought, I still have no clue what happened. I played the game a second time because you have to for a trophy, and I still don't know.
That's funny.
So it's
what's
one
the
of
next
those
game?
games.
Oh,
I just say
sorry.
I just want to say last thing. There's basically no gameplay here, and its whole draw is supposed to be the story. I was interested initially because I thought, oh, FBI investigation for a missing boy, this will be fun. But it's like I feel like it's trying to be so like artsy and intricate with the story that it just loses the purpose of everything. There's no point to anything in this game. Yeah, I think like if it was just a simple solving a mystery of a missing boy as an FBI and turns out his father killed him because he was having an affair,
That would
you
have been
arrest
better.
the father, end of the game, loved it, would have loved it. Again, game, bit of a stretch, but I would have liked that. But they just went super confusing. The LSD thing, I did not get at all because I didn't even know it was LSD.
I did get that.
Sorry, I guess my mic cut off there. I will end by saying just the two positives I had from this game. One, easy platinum, a lot of easy trophies. That's always fun. Two, I was so happy when I played this game because I thought, man, Noah picked this for the indie bit. He is going to be pissed when he plays it.
This was
Those-
punishment for you. Those,
whatever. The
walking
walking sims are fun. The walking sims are way, way better. Anyway,
Just mix it up.
mix it up. Noah, my next, I'll tell you, Noah, I will mix it up. The next indie bit game is called Last Day of June. And that's it.
Okay. How long does that take to complete? What is that? Is that on the PS Pass or?
It is on the PS Pass.
Okay.
I know literally nothing about it.
Oh, okay, cool.
I was scrolling through looking for a game, encountered two options, and of those that I thought, okay, this seems like a thing, this seems like a thing. This one was the shorter of the two games, so that's why I picked it.
That's pretty short, yeah. All right.
I just
Don't
want to say on
forget-
this document here, you typed the 31st.
Is the 30th?
It is the 30th.
Oh,
The last
no.
day of June is the 30th. That's embarrassing.
30 days. Half the June. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't remember the
exactly how
math.
it goes. That's
Oh,
exactly
really?
how it goes. No. Anyway, yeah, so that's another successful indie bit. Don't forget, new episodes every other Monday. Rate and subscribe. Tell us if you like our show, or tell us if you don't. Tell your friends and enemies about the podcast. You can follow our Instagram, the Super Gamer Bros, for updates on all of our podcast ventures. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros. That is one word, capital S, capital G, capital B, period at the end. Where we upload videos Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. We play 5 different games. Each game gets updated once a week. So check that out if you want to see us play some games. Yeah, so thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next game.
Bye.